Hi there! In this guide, I hope to tell you everything you need to know about the second boss of Lucent Citadel, the Orphic Shattered Shard. First, I will tell you everything about the general mechanics in this fight, followed by some specific mechanics and tips and tricks for the different roles. Please note that everything I say applies to the fight in the hard mode difficulty, and I am not sure how it differs from the non-hard mode fight. However, I expect the general flow of the fight to be similar. Now let's get into the general mechanics of the fight. As in the first boss of Lucent Citadel, mirrors play a very big role again, however in a totally different way. For this, we need to take a look at the arena first. In the arena, you can find 4 mirrors at the start, in the left and right entrance and exit positions. 4 more mirrors will spawn throughout the fight, to a total of 8, and with those mirrors you can change the lighting in the room from light to dark and vice versa by using your synergy button. Changing the color of the mirror will give you a heavy dot for almost 5k per second. This dot will last for 30 seconds, and if you swap the mirror again within this time, the damage ticks of this dot will increase. Before the real boss fight starts, 3 trash waves will spawn. The first wave consists of 2 sentinels and 4 crystal Atronachs. All these are light adds, which means that the room has to be dark to be able to kill them. The signature move of the Sentinels is their shield throw, similar to the warrior in Helra. Shield throw is often cast after their heavy, and it will be directed in the direction they are looking. This attack does damage to everyone in its path, and will also throw you onto the ground. So keep an eye out to the Sentinels and where they are looking. If you cannot get out of its path in time, blocking is recommended, as you cannot roll dodge this attack. The Crystal Atronachs throw out blinded blast attacks, which are single target hits. They have to be pulled in and killed. The second trash wave consists of 2 Ruinarchs and 4 Gloom Shapers. These are the dark adds, this makes sure to turn the room to light. The Ruinarchs spawn flame tornadoes after their heavy, followed by a spin attack. As with the Sentinels, this attack is directed in the way they are looking and will stun and probably kill everyone in its path. They move quite slowly though, so make sure to get out of their way. The Gloom Shapers are similar to the Flame Atronachs and Ansel. When they channel their ability, they shoot out Inferno Bolts, which hurt quite a bit, so you want to make sure that they get interrupted, pulled in and killed. The third and last trash pool consists of 1 Sentinel, 1 Ruinarch and 2 of each of the small adds. This means that you will have to swap the mirrors in between to be able to kill all of the adds. Then on to the boss phase. The boss has several mechanics, firstly starting here with Shockwave. This is where the boss slams into the ground, causing a shockwave, which you either have to walk out or roll. In this clip, Shockwave is instantly followed by Shard Volley, a kite mechanic where AoEs are placed on top of players. Make sure to place those a bit away from the boss, so there is room for movement. The third mechanic you saw happening here was color change. Before this, the boss will always charge to the middle if he was not there already. When in the middle, you will see him connect to the different mirrors. When the boss and the mirrors are connected, all these mirrors have to be turned. Make sure to not turn the mirrors before they are connected to the boss. Also, don't be too late, because when not all mirrors are turned before the explosion, the group will be wiped. Then on to the last mechanic, Fate Pillar. During this mechanic, an orb is spawned at a random location in the arena. Tanks need to make sure that the boss hits the orb with the slam of the shockwave, otherwise all 6 people that are connected by the orb will be killed. The boss has several phases, split by the color change mechanic. This mechanic happens at 90%, 60%, 40% and 20%. During each phase, different adds and mirrors will spawn. During the first phase until 90%, there are only 4 mirrors that were there from the start and no additional adds. At 90%, 1 Sentinel and 4 Crystal Atronachs will spawn, as well as 2 additional mirrors at the 3 and 9 o'clock positions looking from the entrance. At 60%, 1 Ruinarch will spawn with 4 Gloom Shapers. Also, the last 2 remaining mirrors will spawn at the 6 and 12 o'clock positions, bringing the total amount of mirrors to 8. At 40%, again a Sentinel will spawn with 4 Crystal Atronachs, and at 20%, this time 2 Ruinarchs will spawn with 4 Gloom Shapers, followed by an extra Ruinarch and an extra 4 Gloom Shapers at 15%. Besides the boss, there is also a mini-boss, Xoryn. This mini-boss always has the opposite color to the boss, which means that you cannot damage the boss and Xoryn at the same time. Luckily, this is not necessary as it is not needed to kill Xoryn in this fight, and it will even respawn after a certain time if you would. You have to watch out for its mechanics though, as otherwise it might kill you. The first mechanic Xoryn does is a lightning flood, a channel attack on the target, one of the tanks, which needs to be blocked. This attack does AoE damage, so it is recommended that the person who is targeted by this ability stands outside of the group. The second mechanic Xoryn does is a thunder fall, during which he will jump to the furthest player. After landing, 4 smaller AoEs will spawn out of the jump location. These AoEs are almost a one-shot, especially in combination with the mirror drain, so take care with those. The last mechanic Xoryn does is a cone attack, which when blocked doesn't really do a lot of damage. As this ability is regularly casted after the jump, there is always a risk of the attack ending up in the group, so keep your eyes open. Now on to the tanking mechanics, where I first want to thank Lilgabe and Kulkgin for sharing their experiences and footage. First I will talk about the main tank role, and after that about the tank holding Xoryn. As a main tank in this fight, it is your first priority, obviously, to tank the Orphic Shattered shard, but also the Sentinels and Ruinarchs that spawn in the different phases. Besides, it is important to chain in the Crystal Atronachs and Gloom Shapers, this way they can be cleaved before they get invulnerable at the next color change. When tanking the Orphic Shattered shard, you have a personal mechanic to play, the Fate Pillar. Whilst bringing the boss to the orb, try not to be too far from the boss to prevent it from enraging when it casts its heavy. The heavy itself will give you a heal absorption shield, but that is generally out-healed easily. Here you can see the orb spawning. Be aware that you only have about 6 or 7 seconds until the boss does his shockwave attack, so you need to be quick. Now on to the other tank role, tanking Xoryn. When tanking Xoryn, there are a few things to think about. Firstly, during the lightning flood, the shock channel attack, make sure to stand outside of the group to prevent the group from taking the damage from the AoE blast. Otherwise, do actually try to stand relatively close to the group to make kiting of the jumps easier. This way, you are also able to help out with chaining the adds. In our group, the challenge for the Xoryn tank really starts at the final phase at 20%, tanking the 3 Ruinarchs that spawn. They do spawn in random locations, so you have to be fast and look around quickly. As you are not in a group, the amount of healing you receive is probably limited, so it is recommended not to block the heavies, which give you the heal absorption shield, but instead roll them, even though you will enrage them this way. From this point on, it's just try to survive towards the end, whilst keeping the Ruinarchs out of the group. It might also be helpful to discuss a predefined spot where you are tanking this last phase, so the healers can help you out easier when needed. Now on to the healers, with once more a special thanks, this time to Tingletony and Minxin for sharing their knowledge and perspective. For healers, this fight is pretty self-explanatory. One healer will have to kite the jumps of Xoryn every 25 seconds. You can do this by running towards the ball when the jump is incoming, as you just saw Tony doing. Otherwise, in this fight, especially sticky holds like Vigor and Radiating are very useful, as a group will have to split when they go into the mirrors, and the incoming damage in this phase is relatively high. Another phase to pay special attention to is during Shard Volley, the kite. It's also here the group will spread out, whilst I still have the mirror dot upon them. As a DD, this fight can be quite tricky to play because of the relatively high incoming damage. You will especially notice this when you come back from changing your mirror, and at this point you will have the dots from the mirror upon you, whilst also the newly spawned Crystal Atronachs or Flame Shapers might target you. Therefore, some blocks or roll dodges while going back into the group might save your life. Also when parsing, some real focus is needed at staying alive, especially as the danger comes from multiple enemies at the same time, whether it's the shockwave of the Orphic Shattered shard, the shield throw or spin attack of the Sentinel and Ruinarch respectively, or the jump from Xoryn. All of these mechanics are, or almost are, a one-shot, and together with the almost constant incoming damage from Mirror Drain and possibly from some of the smaller adds as well, some real care is advised. Besides that, always try to stay as a group together as much as possible and return to the group ASAP when you have to get out to receive the most healing possible. Be aware that after the color swap at 90 and 60%, the boss will return invulnerable until the 2 newly spawned mirrors have been turned, so be patient with your ultimate at these times. Last but not least, always try to make sure to cleave the adds to lower the incoming damage as soon as possible, but you should definitely make sure to kill them before the next color swap, as if not, these adds will be a continuous threat for the next phase as well. That was everything we learned so far. If you have any remaining questions, additions or feedback, feel free to comment or contact me. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you want to see more. For now, enjoy the trial or take a look at the other guides I made about it. See you!